Twilight's Nightmare, Chapter 14, Difficult Conversations. Nightmare was resting, half asleep next to her little star.
Hello, Nightmare.
A sweet voice entered her mind.
Where have you been?
Nightmare responded.
Keeping Twilight company.
Her fragment answered, letting out a happy giggle. It seemed out of place coming from her fragment.
Twilight's friends are gathering in the map room.
It continued.
How did you find that out, my fragment? My name is Sweet Dreams now, and I did not. Twilight did. Interesting. I assume this means you are not returning to me?
Nightmare asked cautiously.
No. I am my own mare now.
Dreams asserted. Nightmare let her mental tone darken.
Very well. You do know what will happen if you cross me. Are you going to harm Twilight?
Dreams snapped in response.
Why would I?
Nightmare asked in mild puzzlement.
Then we are good.
Dream said before sounding like she was purring.
Keep doing that. Keep doing what?
Nightmare asked, annoyed.
Sorry. Twilight is distracting me again.
Dream said, unabashed.
What?
Dreams giggled again.
You don't know what you're missing. Twilight has a request. She would like to see her friends. Does she know who I am?
Nightmare could feel an edge of trepidation enter her mind.
She figured it out. It's kind of hard not to tell when there's a whole wing in here dedicated to you. Unexpected,
Nightmare stated.
Play nice with her. She has access to all of your spells and all of your knowledge in here.
Dream's teasing response carried an undercurrent of warning. Nightmare paled. That was not something that she wanted to deal with.
So, finally, I find the disadvantage of a willing host.
Whimsically, with a mental voice laced with seductive charm, Dreams commented,
Oh, I don't know, Knight. She is very grateful to you. You're doing? Oh, yes, and you're welcome.
Dreams answered happily before her voice became dark and threatening.
Just remember, Twilight is mine. You do anything to hurt her, and you won't live to regret it. Don't make fragments in haste, when in distress, or when drunk.
Nightmare muttered to herself aloud. It was one of Celestia's lessons that she failed to drum into Luna hard enough. 3 simple rules, and she broke 2 of them in creating Sweet Dreams. She would have to live with the consequences. Nightmare took a steadying breath before reaching for Twilight. All 3 mares found themselves standing on an obsidian floor under a cloudy sky. Dreams standing taller than the other 2.
Nightmare,
Twilight said with far more warmth than Nightmare was expecting.
Twilight?
She responded civilly. After all, there was no point in antagonizing her host.
Do I have your word that you will not try and take control of our body?
Twilight reached up to her neck, the image of an ebon collar briefly flickering into existence.
I, Twilight Sparkle.
Twilight corrected herself.
I, who think of myself as Twilight Sparkle, do hereby pledge not to attempt to regain control of this body today, so long as Nightmare does not harm any pony other than in self-defense.
Nightmare tilted her head.
Strange wording, but I accept. I will not deny you the chance to see your friends.
She could feel her control strengthen, though there would be no way Twilight would even be able to attempt to take control today. The collar, visible once more, was joined by shackles attached to her legs. Despite this, Twilight smiled.
Thank you. You are welcome, my host.
Nightmare responded civilly.
I have a name, you know.
Twilight snarked.
One that I have to get used to using.
Nightmare said in a calm tone. Next to Nightmare's physical body, Little Star yawned and rolled over, still sound asleep. Nightmare shifted some of her attention to the outside world. She smiled warmly and draped a wing over her.
Who's your friend?
Twilight gestured with her horn at the ground. Nightmare refocused to the mindscape. Following Twilight's gaze, she saw that visible, under the floor, was the real world.
She is my little star,
Nightmare said with affection. Twilight blushed as Dreams fell over laughing. Nightmare was just glad that they were in her mental space and could not wake her little star, no matter how loud they were.
Is there something I should know about?
Nightmare asked with a raised eyebrow.
That's what she's been calling me,
Twilight said, looking at Dreams.
Oh my goodness. This is hilarious! You call your daughter what I called my lover!
Dreams said through her laughter.
What? Daughter?
Both Twilight and Nightmare said simultaneously.
When an alicorn and a nightmare get together, magic happens, and then a new pony is made. What else would you call her? But...
Twilight stammered.
You... No, I don't think I mind that.
Nightmare said, her physical body leaning down to nuzzle Star. Twilight smiled warmly and she looked at Nightmare.
You really do care for her, don't you? Yes. She looked up to me. She wanted to be in my company. I was her princess. And she was just overjoyed, just being with me.
Nightmare hoped her voice did not sound as bashful as she felt in that instance.
The fact that she is just so adorable does not hurt, does it?
Dreams added. Nightmare nodded.
That too. She saved us, you know? Really?
Dreams said, turning her attention to the little unicorn. Nightmare smiled with pride.
Yes. When I was battling with the dark mages who had us captive, something happened that rendered me helpless. My brave little star defended us, and managed to teleport us halfway across Equestria. She definitely takes after her mother and father.
Dreams said.
Who is who?
Twilight asked.
Well, the nightmare did enter you, so I guess that means that she's the father.
Dreams laughed.
Shall we agree that both of us are her mothers?
Nightmare asked. Twilight nodded.
I don't want to have to add gender issues to all the other identity issues I'm dealing with right now, thank you very much. You do know that she has a wing in Twilight's Bastion.
Dreams stated.
I first figured that she was merely part of your insanity, manifested with my powers.
Nightmare said, nodding to Twilight.
Is it possible that another one of my family survived?
Twilight asked, looking at Dreams. Dreams shook her head.
I'm sorry. No, not in the way that you were hoping.
Dreams moved to Twilight, pulling her into a hug.
It'll be okay, my star.
Twilight leant against Dreams and closed her eyes.
Even though I never met her, it still hurts knowing just what my life cost her. She lives on in your own kind heart and sense of wonder.
Dreams said comfortingly. Nightmare watched, unsure what to make of the exchange. As far as she knew, all of Twilight's family was currently safe. Some in Canterlot and the rest in the Empire.
You know, Rarity's going to be so mad at us. You didn't even take me on a date and here we are, with a filly.
Twilight said, laughing.
You can't have her.
Dreams pulled Twilight close and stuck her tongue out at Nightmare. Twilight's eyes seemed to flicker with flames.
What? Can I not have my own harem of sexy mares?
Nightmare felt her cheeks warm up just a little. She cleared her throat.
Shall we be going and seeing our friends now?
Nightmare shifted most of her attention to the real world and tucked Little Star under a blanket. She placed a motherly kiss below her horn before heading out. Nightmare placed her hoof on the wall and mentally asked the crystal tree to take her just outside the map room. Doing this still felt odd. She could tell that the only reason the tree was helping was that Star had asked it to. The tree seemed to be buzzing with a mix of hope and fear, both firmly directed at herself. No flash, not even a sense of motion. They had just moved locations in less than a blink of an eye.
Since when has my castle been able to do that?
Twilight's thoughts added.
How would I know? With things like this, I would assume, since it was first created.
Nightmare responded. Nightmare knew that Twilight's friends were on the other side of the doors, and with Celestia in town, she would need to talk to them as soon as possible. She needed them on her side if her plans had any chance of working. Taking a deep breath, she placed her hooves on the doors and pushed them open. All of the elements were there, sat around the table, each killing time in their own way.
Girls,
Nightmare said, letting Twilight's relief into her tone. She could feel her host's joy radiating from the mindscape. 5 pairs of eyes turned to face her. Their relief and happiness were so powerful, it was almost a physical force.
Twilight!
Pinky called moments before colliding with her like a meteor. Nightmare crashed into the ground, groaning.
Just when I thought I might be free of pain. Hi, Pinky. Next time, can you avoid my burns, please? Where have you been hiding from us, Twi?
Rainbow demanded, while hovering above her.
Hiding? If only.
Nightmare laughed.
This is the first day I've been able to walk enough to come and find you. Oh my...
Fluttershy rushed over, pushing the other two aside, flitting from one bandaged wound to another, checking each as her concern grew. Nightmare slowly pulled herself to her hooves. She pointed at each wound one by one.
Magical fire, and surgical blades, stabbed by a unicorn's horn, and finally, overtaxed my own horn.
Rainbow seemed impressed, like she was trying to imagine what epic adventure they were from. Rarity looked appalled, most likely from how unladylike Nightmare's appearance was. Applejack was just watching.
Probably looking for any lies I might tell,
Nightmare thought. Pinky was just happy, and Fluttershy held nothing but tender care in her teary eyes.
So far so good,
Nightmare thought before speaking.
Don't worry, girls, I'll be fine. Only a few more days to fully heal.
She smiled.
The important thing is that I'm back. You know what this calls for?
Pinky said, bouncing happily.
A
flash of golden light interrupted the conversation. Suddenly, Celestia was standing there in all of her glory, but none of her regalia. She was only wearing saddlebags and a sheathed blade. She looked around the room, and her eyes fixated on Nightmare.
Twilight?
Celestia's voice was full of hope.
This is too soon.
Nightmare worried. This was not a meeting that she wanted now. She was in no shape for it, and if Celestia even got a hint that she was not Twilight, then she was done for.
Celestia, I'm very glad to see you're safe, if unfortunately not unharmed.
Celestia said as her horn lit as she lifted a scroll from her saddlebags. Something drew her attention to Celestia's horn. There was a wrongness with how it was glowing. It was subtle, but there it was. A spike of alarmed recognition came from Twilight.
No, not again!
Twilight thought of panic drowning under her building anger. Possible countermeasures flooded Nightmare's mind. Twilight reached into their wellspring, clearly going to cast something. Nightmare mentally reached for the chains binding her.
Trust her,
Dreams whispered in her mind. Nightmare hesitated, and that was all the time Twilight needed. Shimmering magenta crystals manifested over Nightmare's body. She could feel Twilight's plan. Now, no spell could reach her until the armor was compromised. Twilight's rage was burning within her. She was furious, and if she had control of the body, likely it would have attacked Celestia. Probably with her own hooves, with how mindless the betrayal-driven anger felt. That would not have ended well, not in their current state.
Calm yourself, Twilight,
Nightmare thought. She could sense Dreams taking action, lovingly holding Twilight, whispering sweet nothings, trying to calm her down. A slight pang of jealousy floated through Nightmare's mind before she banished it. She did not know exactly what Celestia was going to do. The fact that at least half of the countermeasures Twilight offered were to stop mental domination and memory removal spells gave her a pretty good idea. No pony had done anything in the time Nightmare was thinking. Celestia seemed unsure. She was on the back hoof.
If I give her a chance to plan, then she will have the advantage.
Nightmare decided to be bold.
You will not use more mind magic on me!
She bellowed with a royal Canterlot voice, flaring her wings and jutting her chest out aggressively. The force knocked every pony except Celestia back. Every pony was stunned. No pony, not even Celestia, had expected her outburst.
What tarnation you talking about, Sugar Cube?
Applejack broke the stunned silence, looking at Nightmare. Nightmare tried to work out what to say. Thankfully, Twilight's various countermeasures provided all the information that she needed. Pointing at Celestia's horn, she growled.
So, Celestia, why are at least half the spell forms in your horn to do with mind control and memory alterations?
Rarity's eyes widened. Clearly, she was the only one that truly understood the implications of the concealed spell work. The mention of mind control was more than enough to provoke the others.
What the hey?
Rainbow blurted out.
We just get Twilight back, and you're gonna zap her in the brain? Don't be silly, that's Diz's trick. You need your own princess.
Pinky unhelpfully added. Twilight's mental presence faded, replaced with the sound of multiple quills frantically writing.
What is she doing now?
Nightmare thought.
I think she's trying to send a message to her friends, doing what she can to get them on our side.
Dreams answered. One by one, the element bearers took their places beside Nightmare, ready to protect their friend from Celestia. For a moment, Celestia's mask slipped before returning to the warm, caring smile.
One of the possibilities I was worried about was that Twilight was affected by dark magic. I was only ready in case some pony had compelled her to attack us. Or worse. She ain't lying, Twilight,
Applejack said.
Forgive me for being a little on edge with everything that's happened. It's just hard to even be sure any of this is real.
Nightmare returned to a neutral stance.
Twilight, if you don't mind telling us, what did you mean by more mind magic?
Fluttershy's voice was so quiet, but it caught everyone's attention. Nightmare nervously looked at Celestia.
I'm not sure I should tell you. I don't think you want to know,
she said to Twilight's friends. Nightmare was frantically trying to work out what to say. Twilight would be no help. She was still off in her own world, writing to her friends.
Honesty's the best policy. You know that, Twilight,
Applejack said, placing her hoof on Nightmare's shoulder. In a soft whisper, she continued to Nightmare alone.
We're here for you. Oh, please, allow me,
Dreams requested, her mental voice dripping with venom. With no better option at hoof, Nightmare mentally took a step back to let Dreams have control for a time.
You better know what you're doing.
Dreams nodded to Applejack in thanks.
Girls, you've never met the original Twilight. She died long before I came to Ponyville.
Every set of eyes were now solidly fixed on Dreams. Celestia seemed to have been frozen. Even her mane stilled.
What?
Nightmare thought.
Later,
Dreams responded. Dreams pointed a hoof at Celestia.
You murdered Twilight's children and used the remains to craft your own patchwork filly. Your own perfect tool just to save your sister.
Horrified looks now spread around four of the bearers' faces. Rainbow's was shifting to anger, the gears slowly turning behind her eyes as she was trying to work out who to aim it at.
Children?
Escaped Fluttershy's lips in a horrified whimper. On hearing Fluttershy, Rainbow turned her gaze on Celestia. Nightmare felt a hoof slam into the crystal floor as Dreams advanced a single step towards Celestia.
What did you think would happen when I found my library? What did you think would happen when I had a chance to see the aftermath of your magic, or what you did to the original Twilight?
Not pausing to let Celestia get a word in, she continued her verbal assault.
Those chains are sharp. They hurt. But you would not know that, would you? You're the only alicorn that is free of them, right?
Motes of flames danced along her mane as her eyes glared at Celestia, daring her to deny it.
It was the only way to save Twilight. Save her? Save her! She was already gone! All you did was kill her children to make a copy!
Dream screamed, trembling as arcs of rage-filled lightning danced over her feathers. Nightmare noted the others were rooted in place. Clearly, the shock of what they had just found out, and the alicorn magic flooding the room was getting to them.
They all would have died in days!
Celestia shouted back.
It was the only way to save anything! To save any pony! To save you from that disaster!
She ended in a solemn whisper, tears shimmering in her eyes.
How can I trust that you're even telling the truth?
Dreams asked.
You messed with my mind!
She advanced one step with each word, her thundering hoof falls cracking the floor. Nightmare didn't know who was more stunned, herself, Celestia, or Twilight's friends. She could see the pain in Celestia's eyes, a deep hurt that would take a long time to heal.
Good,
she thought to herself. The two alicorns now stood still, looking at each other.
Is that how you feel?
Celestia started.
Don't you dare! Twilight!
Celestia pleaded. Dreams cut her off with another stomp of her hoof.
You say being a princess requires making the hard choices! You're right! The thing you have to remember is that each choice has consequences. I am yet to make up my mind what they should be for you.
A shocked expression flashed in Celestia's eyes.
What? Don't worry, princess!
She says the title as if it was a curse.
I will still play my part. I will protect Equestria, my ponies, and my friends!
Dreams turned her back on Celestia, letting all of her displays of power fade. She walked away, limping, the strain of Twilight's injured body catching up with all of the activity.
Please, leave.
Dreams finished in a weak, dejected tone. Celestia's mouth hung open. She was stunned into inaction. A moment later, and in a flash of magic, she was gone. Dream slumped to the ground crying. Twilight's friends broke free from their shock and rushed to her. Within moments, she was the center of a pony pile, enjoying the warmth of a group hug.
That was masterful. Well played, Sweet Dreams.
Nightmare thought.
That was not just a performance. It was the truth.
Dreams responded bitterly.
Please, let Twilight feel this. As you wish.
Nightmare pulled on Twilight's chain, dragging her away from whatever she was doing, placing her in partial control of her body.
For the duration of this hug, I release you from today's agreement. Thank you, thank you, thank you!
Twilight thought a nightmare. Tears of joy fell from her eyes.
I love you all.
Twilight spoke from her own mouth for the first time in days, as she returned the hug. In Nightmare's mindscape, Dreams draped a wing over her.
Thank you.
Oh my god. Celestia just got a vocal hammer of a lifetime right to the face. Jesus. Anyway, I'd love to give a very special thank you to my magically powerful donators. Yoshi Super Saiyan 2, Peter Coulthard, Dash of Evergreen, Dresden, Dospo, RuneScythe 9852, Courier Cruise CI, Dwight Cornell, Gaggy, Secret Moon, Orient Pax Kaiju, Starlight Glimmer, David D. Sanchez, Trey, Pokekiller Zach, Soul Dragon, Dak Britton, Joe Pierce E, and Reno. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.